How influential are you? Do you have a lot of influence or little? None? Or somewhere in between? We all have influence in different areas, but if you really want to take the fast track to success, you have to look at how you're being influential without being manipulative. I don't want you to be manipulative. So as we talk about influence, it's about using your strengths to get people to agree, to work with you, to buy from you, to be nice, whatever it happens to be. All your influence is up to you. So we have some principles of influence that you can maximize to increase your trip down the fast track. And the first one is the principle of influence called liking. Now the reality is you're going to be far more influential to people that like you, that already have a relationship with you. So if you've ever taken on a part-time job or when you were in college and you had to sell knives or encyclopedias or whatever it happened to be, what they asked you to do was write a list of all the people you already know and contact them first, because you have influence over people that like you. It's much easier to convince them to help you, to be on your team, to support you, whatever it happens to be. So when my husband Warren and I first started dating, I realized this guy was pretty special, and we were going to really test the relationship by going on vacation together. You know that when you spend 7 days a week, 24 hours with someone, you find out really quickly if you want to spend more time with them or less time with them. So as true Canadians, what are we going to do? We're going to go to some hot beach in the winter time. So I decided we were going to go, I didn't decide, I decided we're going on the vacation, and I decided I needed a pedicure. Now at this point, I had already seen Warren's feet, and quite frankly, he needed a pedicure too. And he had never had one before. And so I said, before we go to the beach, why don't you come with me to the spa and we'll get our feet done? And he looked at me and goes, I've never done that before. And I was thinking, clearly, but I think you should do that. And so he agreed to come to the spa and get a pedicure. Now I can tell you, if you had have gone to any of his guy friends and said, have you ever had a pedicure? They'd have said, no, don't do that. Girls do that. But because he liked me and he valued the relationship, he agreed to do something that he wouldn't naturally have agreed to do. And now he comes with me to the spa all the time because he likes his pedicures. So liking is a big way to push your influence out there in a pretty safe zone. If the people you like don't agree with you, there's something else wrong with the way that you're asking. So certainly start with the people that like you. The second element of influence is reciprocity. Now that's a pretty big word, meaning reciprocity is when you give someone something, they almost feel indebted to giving something back to you. So I'm not going to bribe you, and I'm not going to manipulate you and give you stuff because I know you'll give me something back. But what that means is my approach is I'm going to be a very giving and caring person, so that when I need something back or I need care back, you're much more inclined to give it back to me because I've been so forthright in giving you things in the first place. So reciprocity is the obligation people feel. But to me that sounds negative. So I want reciprocity is quid pro quo. You know, I want you to give back because I gave to you. So start being a giving and caring. Don't worry about what you're going to get back or if you'll ever need anything back. But if you come from a place of abundance where you give, it naturally will come back to you. It's just one of the universal laws of influence. Another law that we really have to keep into mind as we continue our fast track is the law of consistency. You need to be consistent. You need to be good all the time. You need to be nice all the time. You need to be friendly all the time. And you need to deliver whatever it is that you're delivering consistently. So maybe you're on the fast track to work with your team and your organization. So you don't want them to say, oh, it's Monday. Is she going to be off today? Or Friday. She's never in a good mood on Fridays. You don't want them to be able to look at the calendar to figure out if it's a good day or a bad day. You want them to always assume you're going to be good. You're going to be in a good mood, you're going to be fair, you're going to be professional. You don't want them to think that you've got this multiple personality disorder, because that certainly hurts your influence. If you think about the influence that you experience when you go to a national food chain, let's just say a coffee chain, and there are certain coffee chains that you know you can walk into and every single one of them is the same anywhere around the world, and you can order your coffee and it's going to be just as good every single time. That's consistency. Whereas there may be other chains where you think they're really hit and miss. Sometimes they're really good, sometimes they're really bad. You don't want to be that hit and miss. You lose your influence that way. Those that are at the top of the coffee shop food chain have very consistent branding right across the board, as do you need to be. And the fourth element of influence, principle of influence that I want to share with you today is the principle of social proof. What one person says, other people start to hear. So when you get a couple of people that say, oh my gosh, you have to hire Rhonda, she's the funniest speaker I've ever heard, which I think you should do. But when you start hearing that a few times, then you start thinking, you know what? She might be pretty funny, she might be pretty good. Now, if you hear a couple of people say, oh, she's really boring, put me to sleep, which you're not going to hear. But if you were to hear that, you'd think, oh, not so, and you'd be afraid to make that purchase. So you want to make sure that people who work with you, for you, on your team, beside your team, they say really great things. That's the social proof that encourage other people to want to be part of the team. And if you get a lot of bad things being said, make sure you go fix them, because that's the social proof that will hurt you. Influence is completely in your control. You want to make sure you're being consistent. You want to make sure people are saying good things. You want to make sure that people like you and that you're giving first so that reciprocity kicks in. It's not that hard to do, and it's not even remotely manipulation, because I'd like to think you're practicing from a place of strength, of what you want to do, not manipulate people. So my challenge this week is for you to really evaluate, what is your influence? Are the people that like you helping you? Are you practicing reciprocity? Do you come from a place of consistency where we know what to expect from you? And do people say great things about you? If you have all those 4 principles, you have pretty good influence. Good luck.